Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, dudes, dudettes, duders, and everyone in between, and welcome to the Hollywood Fishbowl. I am and can only be your host, Jesse Kester, but I am not alone. Nor should I be if it's an interview show. Why would I do an interview show alone? I am here with the only, the one, got that backwards, John Massari. Welcome to the show. I did it without swearing.
Thank you for having me.
That's a feather in my
You could have
cap.
sworn if you wanted.
John motherfucker Massari is
There
in
you
the
go.
studio. Jesus Christ, he's here. You know him from, where's my camera? There's my camera. You know him from this one. You know him from that one. And we're going to get into both this one and that one as the show progresses. But before any of that, we're going to do a little something called 5 and 5. Let me bring you up to speed on that.
Okay.
You know what? I'm not going to do that. We're just going to throw you in cold. How does that
Okay,
sound?
that's good.
5 and 5. Here we go. Question number 1. Where did you grow up, and how did that inform your adulthood?
Well, I was born in I was born in New York City, actually. And when I was a wee lad, maybe 18 months old, we moved out to the wilds of Orange County.
Any memories from New York?
They're
The slightest little foggy glimpse?
they're not vivid.
What took your family to OC?
No winters, no snow.
That'll do it. That'll definitely do it.
So so it was the garden part of Orange County called Garden Grove, and it was close enough to the ocean, and it was like living in the world of Peanuts, Charlie Brown. So
Just
we had that kind
idyllic
of
childhood.
We had that kind of a community. Yes.
Sandlot gang kind of lifestyle.
Right.
And how did that influence your adulthood? I'm keeping an eye on the clock.
And it was the first time during that time, it's the first time I had gone to a triple feature at a matinee.
Yes.
It was The Time Machine, Mysterious Island, and Journey to the Center of the Earth.
The Time Machine, we got to get on to question 2, but the Time Machine
Yep.
makes a stunning return.
Yes, and I actually sat in the original Time Machine.
And I'd love to know more. But
Yes.
question 2
2
mandates that I ask you, what is the Must Engage media, the book, the television show, the album that opened up your brain to the very secrets of the universe?
Was Zorba the Greek.
Zorba the Greek, what about it?
Yes, Zorba the Greek. I probably saw it when I was a kid, and then I saw it again as a teenager, and I saw it 2 or 3 times as an adult. And I had the distinct honor to work on an interview with the director, Michael Kokigiannis, who directed Zorba the Greek, which is based on a book by Nico, and I can't pronounce his name, Kostaniakis, I think. Sorry for all the Greek people, I got that wrong. But anyways, the character was someone who's willing to take chances and living up to it and owning it, whether it's a failure or a success. Because at the end of the movie, his big dream, his big goal becomes an absolute failure, but he's so happy. He said it was a beautiful failure because at least he did it.
I want to know more, but I can't right now because question 3 demands that I ask you, what is the greatest source of joy in your life?
My two daughters.
Congratulations.
Aurora, thank you. Aurora and Julia.
From one father to another?
Yes.
Aurora and Julia?
Aurora and Julia.
Those are lovely names.
20, going on 22, going on 19. It was a joy being part of their lives and now seeing them as very independent, very focused, opinionated, and sometimes kind of mean to their dad, but that's okay.
Well,
that's okay. And they're not mean. They're really great. They're just bossy.
Are they college bound?
Yes.
Okay.
My oldest goes to Pomona College, and the youngest goes to USC.
Ain't kids the best?
Yeah.
It's just, the world changes.
Yeah, and I learn a lot from them, and they have raised the bar of excellence. So I have something to follow.
I want to know more. Good Lord, do I want to know more. Unfortunately, question 4 is up on the wall, and I got to ask you, what gets under your skin?
People that say they're committed to do something, be part of a goal-structured project, and just at the last minute they leave. They just drop everything because they realize they really can't do it. They overextend themselves.
Yes, you know the impulse though. You want to be involved in everything.
Yeah, it's one thing that's challenged, but you got to know that you can make the jump, even though you haven't made it before, and you got to do everything in your. And if you say you're going to do something, do it.
And learn how to say no when you can.
And ask for help. People that don't ask for help.
That, yes, you're looking at them.
Yeah.
It's a lesson hard learned over time.
Right.
Question number 5. What do you wish you knew at the beginning of your career in film that you know now? If you could go back and straighten yourself out a little bit.
Yeah. Don't worry about trying to impress people. And don't be like others. Don't be afraid of unconformity, especially in a creative field. Because what cuts you from the herd is what you do differently.
Let's talk about what you do and what you do differently. I was looking over let's get into Killer Klowns first. Is that okay?
Sure.
Killer Klowns.
You were playing the march as our intro.
Oh, for sure.
Do you know when that was written?
I'm gonna wash out.
Well, I'll just
Killer
tell
Klowns
you,
trivia night.
It wasn't written at the time I did the movie.
If I get this story right, let me try.
Okay.
I believe it was with a high school band that did not appreciate the song in its infant state.
Right.
Died a quiet death then, but was brought back to life
for the movie. Which goes back to the things.
Do I know my John Massari trivia or what?
Thank you very much. Yeah, they thought it sounded too jazzy. It was my band called Crisis, and we used to play.
Was that spelled correctly, or were there Y's
It was.
instead of
You know
I's?
what? We should have. I think I had said, hey, let's spell it like this. It's spelled standard.
Okay.
Crisis with a C, as Crisis is spelled. So they felt it sounded too jazzy.
Really?
Yeah, because
that shit slaps.
if you put the dum bum bee dum bum bum, it's a major 7 chord. And to the guys in my band, this is pre-Linkin Park, a major 7 chord in metal is non-existent.
Anathema.
Yes, exactly. So they didn't want to have anything to do with it. So, but I liked it, and I knew that when the movie came out, I said, I have a home for that. It just there was one particular scene it was when the clowns march on to they march on to the Crescent Cove after they've come back to life after being quote unquote vanquished by Mike and Debbie. I said, that's it. I know what to do there.
That is one of the great indelible moments of film history to me. It did something that so few films do. It made that sincere promise, like, this shit's going down. It's happening now. That moment, and I always loved that moment of them walking towards the town. And I thought, like, man, it's just me being me loving film. But then I watched the live to tape that you guys did, or live to screen, of the orchestra playing it. And the march, that moment got one of the biggest pops of the night from the audience. They went nuts. So it's just this, it's so important to the story to have that. It's happening. We are giving you this film now. Sit back. It's on.
And for me, when I saw the movie for the first time, obviously it had no temp music, which was wonderful that it had no temp music. That's
a different era of filmmaking. Now everybody's cutting to the score of the film that they just saw that they liked and then telling y'all to do that close but not enough to get sued.
It's very unrewarding, I think, even for the audience.
But let's talk about the Killer Klowns, how that scoring process went. So you sit down, you watch the film. Basically, it's just dialogue and sound effects.
Yes, and I believe the Dickies song was already placed. And I just thought that was the coolest. I go, this is great. This is going to be a fun movie. And then I saw the movie. I'm going, okay, teen movie. Okay, kids making out. All that. Then all of a sudden, you see this gorgeous tent that's really a spaceship in the middle of the forest. And I said, okay, I'm on board. I know what these guys are doing. That there's just such, as far as I was concerned, the whole movie could have taken place in that, spaceship. Because it was just so beautiful to look at. It was just there's something about the warm Halloween colors. The looks kind of like a pumpkin. And it's a circus tent, and you can almost smell the pumpkin spice in the air. So, anyways, that's what did it for me. That's what put me on board. Is I know what to do. I know what to do for this.
But you're not making the decision. You don't get to hire yourself for this job.
No, I had to audition.
Yeah. Just
like everyone else. Even though I came on board recommended, there was a number of people that auditioned that, I'm not going to mention their name, but they are still a big deal. They were a big deal then to me, and they're still a big deal now. So the competition was like fierce, you know. So what I did was concentrate on.
How does the audition process go for something like that?
Well, first of all, you have to be asked to audition, or you could say, "May I audition?" And if like they've heard some of your music, they go, "Okay." You know, if you've come through. Like basically referrals, because you just can't walk off the street because you don't know what's going on. I never knew this movie was being produced.
Yeah.
Someone had to tell me, I know these brothers, I worked with them back in Washington, D.C. They're doing a movie. You may or may not be interested in it, but I just thought I'd pass along this recommendation to you. So I made the call. I introduced myself, and they said, well, listen, I heard, you know, you mail them a tape. A cassette.
Yep.
Right. That takes time. So someone has to sit down there and listen to it. They put it in a tape machine and listen to it. And they said, okay, we like your music, but we have a company that's financing this. We have to audition people. So you do an audition. The important thing about an audition for me is picking a scene that kind of defines the whole movie. I know that's kind of hard to do out of an hour and a half or 2 hour movie, to find a 3-minute snippet that like someone can watch and say, okay, this is what the whole movie is about. So that's what I did, kind of different than everyone else did. I picked the scene where the kids go into the clown spaceship. They meet. They realize it's not a circus tent, that it is indeed an alien spaceship of some sort. They get chased out by clowns, and then the clowns come back to life and march upon the city. I mean, it's like right there. The whole you could make a short film and say, this is what Killer Klowns from Outer Space is kind of all about. Oh my God, what's going to happen when they invade that town? So I picked that, and I think both the filmmakers and the powers that be of the production company that was financing it realized, okay, that'll work. And that's what they'll say. That will work. It's not no one goes, hurrah, hurrah, we found our musical genius. It doesn't happen like that. No, it says, okay, this will work. This will make the movie go well.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Kyoto? What's
Kyoto Brothers.
Kyoto. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you knowing the Kyoto Brothers at this point, or is it?
I had just been introduced to them.
How anonymous are you to them? How well known are you when they hire you?
All they know of me is that an acquaintance of theirs that they've worked with on a variety of commercials at one point in their respective careers, I've been recommended through him because I've worked for that person, and now I'm coming. That's basically how they know me. Yeah.
And then is it one demo tape sent their way, and then you'll work, or do you have to keep doing like different tiers of audition and callbacks and all that?
No, that was it. Now you got to start.
Okay, then you're locked in.
Now you got to start. Here's the letter.
Here's
the letter of agreement. Here's the contract. Have an attorney look it over. You come up with if you want to go in the nitty gritty, you come up with a payment tier that when you start, you get this much. When you deliver so much of the film that's approved, you get this much, and then final approval is afterwards. And then you get your final payment, and then that's it. You're done.
So they wave the checkered flag, and you're off to score this film. What's your process looking like at that point? Are you watching the film in silence and noodling on a piano, or just how does that go?
I could tell you how I approach it.
Yeah, just how you approach it.
Working with other composers before that, up until that time, I have my own way. Everyone does it. There's no set way that says this works. This is what I like to do. I like to just watch the movie with not even taking notes, just watch the movie. And then maybe watch it again, and then think about it for, like a few hours, run errands and things like that. And then come back and watch it fast forward.
Wait, what's that?
Just like put the scan button on.
Yeah, but what
does
that
watch
do
it
for you? Just the visual experience.
You get the for me, you get the cadence of the changes of the scenes and the story, the kind of the cadence of the film.
Yeah.
And I'll go backwards too. I'll watch it backwards and forwards, and then you just get a feeling for the topography
And there's still
of
no
the movie
piano
itself.
touching. You're just
No,
watching
yeah,
and
this is
thinking,
all within
letting
the
it-
first
letting
like day and a half,
Yeah.
day and a half, 2 days. And in my head, there's like I can hear something. It's like someone's playing music in the next room, and I like that. What is that? I'm gonna go hear what that is. It's kind of like that in my head. It's like I know it's there. Michelangelo had a thing. Michelangelo, the sculptor,
Not
artist.
the turtle.
Yes, so, not the turtle. Had an idea that the figure that he was going to bring out of the marble that he had, it's in there. I just have to take all this stuff away. It's sort of like that, where I can kind of hear what's going on. Then I break it down. I've also sat down with the directors and producers and said, okay, music's going to come in and out of here. We're going to get a small musical transition to here to get. We don't need any music here. This plays well on its own. This needs lots of help. We have no idea what to do for this. And I go, I've got some ideas. The scene where there's a scene where they're going through it's like a parade. They're going through the town, vacuuming up people and things like that. I go, I'm going to treat it like it's, Panzer tanks going through a Polish village. That's how I'm going to just treat it legit. That's it. And they go, okay. They just said, okay, that's you have an idea. That's a concept, So oftentimes you realize the music has to play a particular role in a movie. It's not just wallpaper, so to speak. You want it to have a lot of character. A movie that's really illustrates that well. Oh, many films illustrate that well, but one in particular comes to mind, and I never gave it much thought until I saw the movie the second time, was Fatal Attraction. The music was such a character in that movie. It was telling you so many things. So that's what I wanted for Killer Klowns. The music's got to express something. It's just we need a tone while the kid goes out into the alley and throws the trash away and gets pulled in by, there's a scene where the dumpster opens and things like that. It's got to be something else. We got to kind of clue in, what's in there, and then how horrible it is that he gets drawn in, or the little girl that gets distracted. Of all the people in the hamburger joint, there's one kid who gets distracted.
One of the most haunting scenes.
Yeah.
That really cuts
So
deep.
some things had to be paper thin. Just a little bit of something. And then, believe it or not, that's tough to design properly. I mean, basically, conceptually, it's okay, we can just have female voices, maybe unison. And then when the reveal that he's got a big sledgehammer, we're going to come up with something, some low tone or something. You can do it that way. But then sitting there and figure out, when do we switch up and switch down, and then boom, here. That is it's got to be just properly placed. It's like framing a picture.
That hammer gag, so many good gags in the film. But that reminded me of something that I think a lot about, not just the Kyotos, but this film in particular, is are they designers first, or were they filmmakers first?
You'd have to ask them.
What was your experience working with them? How much of it was, we are artists making a feature, and how much of it is let's write the story around this visual idea that we have?
Well, the Kyoto Brothers will tell you that they... they had some success working with Tim Burton, and they were approached by a company that said, we'd like to do something with you. And they said, what do you want to do? And they came up with this crazy idea, and on 2 pieces of paper, 4 paragraphs. And they said, that's
of Pee-wee? Or were they involved in Beetlejuice as well? I think
Pee-wee. I don't think I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, they did the Large Marge gag in Pee-wee. That's the big,
which lasted seconds, but still, it made such
the most indelible image in the film.
Right.
Nobody ever forgets that.
Exactly. So, basically, the production company at the time, which was called Transworld Entertainment, they said, I can sell it on the title alone. I can
The
get
Killer Klowns
yeah,
concept.
I can get a cable and DVD, cable and VHS
And this thing lived on cable.
for the longest time.
How many people come up to you and say, "Oh man, it was 2 a.m. I was
Right.
clicking through,
Right.
and this thing blew my mind." Is
Right,
that
right.
How
That
many times
happens.
do you hear that at a convention?
Well, I hear people say that, my 4-year-old watches it all the time. And that's how I got introduced to it. And it's such a fun movie, And we could talk about the whole philosophy of horror conventions and the audiences and how very loyal they are to their movies because it's given them an experience. It's almost a form of comfort food, if you can imagine that. So, and I just discovered the fan base in
Wait, so you're in the dark about
2014, 2013, something like that. That was a while ago.
How do you guys not know what we think of y'all?
I don't.
All we do is yak about it
because
endlessly.
I never went to conventions. I was never tuned into the community. The horror community. I was never tuned into it. Never knew about it. And the way I got introduced to it is that I was, my wife and I were at the 3rd Street Promenade having coffee. Very pleasant afternoon. I get a phone call. I go, wait a minute, that's Kyoto Brothers Studio. What are the boys up to? And I take the call, and it's one of their producers saying, can you come this weekend to Monsterpalooza and you can bring things to sell? And I go, is it a garage sale? I don't understand. What is it? Monster what? And they go, no, it's a horror convention. It's the 25th anniversary of Killer Klowns. That's incredible. Yeah, the whole cast is going to be there and everything. You could be at a table. And I don't have anything to sell. Well, you can sign things. Like what? Well, people bring posters. People collect stuff to do with the movie.
You really
didn't
no
have
idea
anything. So that what was a joy to me is to see people that, oh, you did the music, and they're talking about the movie and the music. They're as familiar with it, more familiar with it than I am, actually. And they're just really thrilled about it. It says, what else do you do? And at the time I was doing like commercials, documentaries, other movies, and it just kind of like, and I didn't realize that all this time, the Kyoto Brothers, they've been touring around the country. They get invited to all, it's the one movie genre. I read a very good essay about this. It's the one movie genre that has the most active community where they have conventions and meet and greets where they can dress up. They can meet with like-minded people. Are there rom-com
No.
conventions? No.
No.
So that's how I discovered them.
And then that's, was it 2015 that you kind of started to see the community around it?
Yes.
How long does it take after that discovery to start working on Killer Klowns Reimagined? This is the album full orchestra this time around. Mm-hmm. One of the things I love about this film is just how goddamn tactile everything is. Mm-hmm. I forgot to ask you the opening question.
What?
When's Killer Klowns 2 coming out? What's up with that?
I can give you an answer for that.
Hit me.
Yeah, I would recommend that fans contact either electronically or send postcards to the owner of Killer Klowns from Outer Space property.
The Kyotos don't own it?
The intellectual property is owned by MGM / I guess Amazon now. So ask them that you would like to see a sequel or another chapter in the crazy life of Killer Klowns from Outer Space.
I wish the Kyotos had a blank check every year to make whatever film they wanted.
That would be nice. Yeah, for some reason, it's
workers.
one of the films that has kind of escaped the franchise bug, you know. And
you were celebrated recently over at Universal 2-3 years ago.
Yes.
Not a franchise thing, but a...
Right. They had at Halloween Horror Nights in both Universal Orlando and in Hollywood. They had what they call a house. I forgot what it's called. It's like a fright house or whatever. Mm-hmm. That it's basically you walk in, the theme of the movie. It's like a walkthrough of the movie.
Yeah,
it's really awesome. I mean, people loved it. I mean, the one that was here. I visited both, and obviously I'm here in Hollywood, and I love the one in Orlando. I love the one here. And I made myself available to fans like every other Saturday night. I would on Instagram, I'd say, I'll be down there if you want, I can sign something. So at one point, after the second week, the management came up to me. I thought they were going to, maybe I overstepped my boundaries and stuff like that. He says, we love what you're doing. Could you go to the gift shop and sign stuff? I could be happy to. So I signed stuff at the gift shop, and it made lots of friends. That's the whole thing. I figured if these people are making the effort of coming out, waiting in line for 3 hours, least I can do is come every other Saturday and say hi to people. And I got to be honest with you, it was such a thrill to be the last person to see the house on the opening night, and I was the last person to see it when Halloween Horror Nights was over. I was the last person out. I said, can I be the last person? And I went with a group of people, and that was it. And they literally closed it down and started deconstructing it.
As you're walking away.
They had a crew. They had a crew.
The walls are coming down.
Yes.
So what I love about this movie is just how tactile, and it's something that I love about all the Kyoto's work is it's so handmade, so reach out and touch it, so three-dimensional. It's a joy. The soundtrack, to hear it in this new format that feels like it finally matches the tactility of the film that it accompanies. I love hearing it as a full orchestra.
Thank you.
How did this come to life?
Well, soon after that experience at Monsterpalooza, I think it was the 25th anniversary, I invited I know a bunch of people in the music community, and they said, every once in a while at Warner Brothers Studio, we get A-list, what they call A-call musicians, and we run through people's work, and you can videotape it as well, but you can't sell it. You basically have to run through a piece of music. So I had a 60-piece orchestra at Warner Brothers Studio, and I invited the Kyoto Brothers, come on over, come down, I'm doing something. And they didn't know what, they all came, what you doing? And I ran through the piece of music that I auditioned with, running through the chase and all that sort of stuff, through the clown ship with a big ass orchestra, it was awesome. And they said, this sounds great. Is this for some movie or something? They didn't know what it was for. No, I'm just doing a proof of concept. I'm doing this, and I'm going to do an album. I'm going to go through and record the rest. So that's how that came to be. I just said, because the music originally, even though it was done on synthesizers, a lot of fun dealing with all that old gear. It was really great.
I love that you list the gear in the liner notes of this.
Right. And but as per the instructions of the Kyoto Brothers, is we love classic horror music from King Kong, Seven Voyages of Sinbad. We love Journey to the Center of the Earth. All the movies that I kind of grew up with, including Forbidden Planet, even though that was a completely electronic score. But the feel. But we don't want you to record it with an orchestra, because back then. And
this wasn't a budgetary concern. This was a creative decision.
Yeah, it's creative
from the top down.
Because we don't want to sound like Friday the 13th, where it's like an orchestra playing scary music. That was one of their fears. And so, bless you. That was one of their fears, is that do we need to do a pickup?
No.
Okay.
Keep going.
So that was one of their fears, is that they didn't want it to sound like a horror music score. And I said, well, what the music you're describing, when we do that, it's not going to sound like, like a bad copy of Bernard Herrmann, or a bad copy of, the Psycho score or something like that. We're not going to do that. We're going a completely different route. But they said, no, we just need the colors. It's got to sound as crazy as it looks. But the music composition has to be legit.
So they wanted an orchestral score performed through this at the time state of the art technology.
There was the happening stuff back then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are they saying now that they've heard the full orchestral version?
The Kyoto Brothers.
Yeah. Were they all in on this?
Well, here's what's interesting is that when I got the license from MGM, I was very thrilled that they gave me a license to officially promote it properly and have an audience and everything. They were afraid that it was going to sound too legitimate and maybe make the movie look silly, even more silly. But then after they saw it and the audience reaction, it's the opposite. You've got this legitimate orchestra and a legitimate sounding score. It makes the movie look more legitimate.
But you talk about that, how your approach was to take the score dead serious.
Yes.
In a counterpoint to the absurd visuals that you were getting.
Right. Yeah, so, it's like the straight man in a you have contrast. You want contrast in score. Because if it was just silly and goofy without being, I mean, you could do silly and goofy legitimately, you know. I did a Christmas album last year.
I heard some of the cuts from that.
Yeah, and it was for there's a company that Hans Zimmer runs called Extreme Music. There's also Bleeding Fingers, and I have a variety of music in that collection, and it's not just jingle bells. And so I start off with a vision. I said, okay, I'm imagining a classy dame in late 50s Manhattan wearing a really cool black dress with pearls and a big hat, and she's frantically going around town Christmas shopping, right? And it starts off with just like everything else. It starts off with a little idea. And you're gonna have to. Can I do this?
You can absolutely do that. Are we going to be able to play any of the samples of your Christmas music on this episode? Can we get permission for that?
I can get you whitelisted on it.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Then let's jump in.
Okay. So it's literally started off like this. I mean, it's not. Okay, let me turn the volume up.
Yep,
on this
and get your speakers up towards the mic.
Okay, so we go. It's something like this is the basic idea. So it's like. So it's like that, and then all of a sudden I put that away and started going, and it just like evolves. And I tinker at the piano, and like several days later, I got an outline.
And we're back.
That was refreshing.
Glad we have technology these days.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what happened with Killer Klowns as well. They provided direction of a syntax. This is the kind of the language we want you to. We want to be. We want to have a nod to the genre of movies that they liked when they grew up.
Yep.
What brought them to the business, which was, the classic King Kong, Mighty Joe Young. That was big. I must have seen Mighty Joe Young before that time, like 3 or 4 times. And I've always loved it. And when you hear the Kyoto brothers pick that movie apart and analyze it and what meant a great deal to them, it becomes a different movie. So I saw it again like 2 or 3 times before I started writing music. And I was getting into like the of it taking it seriously, because let's face it, you would think it's a silly movie.
It's a great brand, and it's even better now than it was then because everything is so tactile and feels so immediate in this film that it feels fresher today than when it came out and was completely mind-bendingly new at the time.
Right.
So glad we could talk about that. Can we talk Wizard?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay, and we can't talk about Wizard of Speed and Time on vinyl. You can get it. I was a dirty little cheater with you.
What's that?
On the eBay, it said you can pay and have it shipped, or you can go pick it up. And I thought, wait a minute, that means that I'm going to John's house and I get to have FaceTime with him if I go to pick it up.
Right.
Looked it up. You live 4 blocks away from me.
No kidding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of sleuthing on eBay that I did.
Right.
But the vinyl is out, green vinyl. This is the Wizard of Speed and Time score.
Very limited edition. I think I think we're down to the last 25 copies.
Okay, I might pick one or two more up, just because there are a couple people I want to gift them.
Sure.
And I want to keep one for myself. And,
Yeah.
To talk about Wizard, we have to talk about Mike. The
director.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mike Jitlov is the director, the writer, director, special effects creator, star. If you were to list out all his credits on this film, there's not enough paper in the world to get it all down. The film is about him. Mm-hmm. Not that it's about him, but it is the royal about him.
Yeah.
That you can understand. I'm going to try to slow down and formulate my thoughts a little clearer.
No, I think I know where you're going, but go ahead. Slow down. Yeah.
Is that more than any other film I've seen in my life, this is a perfect portrait of one person. Mm-hmm. Most films you see are a collaborative effort, and even documentaries that focus on one person, they still have the voice of the documentarian. A Ken Burns documentary is a Ken Burns documentary before it's about the Vietnam War.
Right.
This is, in all of cinema, the most intimate portrait of any one person that I've ever seen. And it's not a documentary, it's a narrative. And the weirder thing is, it's all artifice. Mm-hmm. He's a special effects guy. It's about making special effects. It's about making animation. And everything about the film is artificial. Mm-hmm. And somehow through all of that, we have the most intimate view of one mind, one artistic vision. We get his political views. We get his worldviews, his opinions on love. Everything that you could ever want to know about a person seems woven into every frame of this film at a cellular level. Right. And that is why I love it as an adult. Mm-hmm. Let me talk about why I loved it as a kid. And we're going to let you talk again soon. I'm
fascinated. This is like very amusing for me.
What I loved about it as a kid, I think I saw this when I was 8 or 9 years old. This was the first film I saw that gave me permission to be a filmmaker. This says in no uncertain terms that filmmaking is truly nothing more than getting together with your friends and doing whatever you think would be fun on screen. There's so much love, so much excitement about the medium, again woven into every frame. And to get that at 8, 9 years old, to have loved films up to that point, and then have this one person say, like, go, just do it. Just grab a camera. You do it. All you do is get together with your friends, and you'll make exactly whatever it is that you're bound to make. Was such a joy and such a blessing. You know Mike from, I'm guessing, college. You're on the earliest shorts of his.
Yeah.
When did you start working with him? What were the first films? They were his animated shorts that you guys. How'd you guys hook up?
Quite by accident.
Okay.
So.
And thank you for enduring that intro to the Wizard of Speed and Time.
I was completely captivated.
Let's get to your experience with him.
So, I had finished UCLA. I studied music at UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, and I was studying all throughout college. I was always studying privately, and one particular composer I was studying with, who was also one of his pupils, was James Newton Howard. Was one of his pupils as well. He said, "Listen, I have a friend that has a seminar class at UCLA. Would you mind? He needs bodies in the seat, and it might be fun for you." So I went to this seminar class. It's for people who are not musicians or composers, just kind of like it's a film music appreciation class. Mm-hmm. So during that class, I was sitting next to a guy every once in a while, and he was a producer, and I got to know him. And he says, "I know I'm working on a TV special for Disney, and we need a composer." I go, "Well, that's awesome. What's your name?" We became friends. And he says, "Let me introduce you to the director." So I go, "Sure. How's Wednesday at 11? "Oh, that's perfect. 11 in the morning is perfect." He says, No, 11 at night. Because that's basically when he wakes up, is 11 o'clock at night. He's on a weird schedule because he's animating. So I went to meet Mike, and I had seen one of his short films. I think it was called The Interview or something like that. where he
I'm late.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, that one. And you could probably show that. You could probably cut to that, and there's no problem. So anyways, I go, oh my goodness, I was at the Venice Fox Theater 2 weeks ago. I saw your stuff. This is great. So he sat me down and showed me some of his work, and he did his little thing where he talks into his, the projector he had. I'm not sure if the projector had a little insert for a mic that you could do, presentation, show a film, or if he pumped it into his stereo system or something like that. But he did his shtick of showing his films, like pointing out what he worked on and things like that. And there's something about watching film that's projected from a projector, even though you're hearing you kind of tune that out because there's the light flashing at you at 24 frames a second that it makes an impression on you. And so all that animation is done by taking one picture and frame at a time and planning out a move that will work to accomplish something in so many frames. There's just a million moving parts that one, in this case, Mike Jetlove did all himself. So I was absolutely captivated. So, okay, what do we do? And he would play me some of his favorite music, and I would play some of music that I did, and I guess he thought it was okay. And he likes to whistle, and he has some musical ideas that are, melodically, workable. I can work with that and expand upon it and what have you. So we did the short film that was for an actual Disney special effects. He played a character. This is
the Wizards of
he came up with an idea. I'll be the camera wizard, and I will show up throughout it was kind of like a network television special for special effects that the Walt Disney Studio was doing to help promote the movie The Black Hole. So anyways, there's this one spot where they said, here, we'll give you a few minutes. We'll give you a minute or 2 minutes or what, I forgot. I think it's about a minute and a half to do your stop motion animation because that's the subject of this particular chapter. And he did this thing where he's dancing in lip syncing, animating his lips to a song.
And this is the one in the garage, that I am the Wizard of Speed and Time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, the world of film is where I shine. Oh, they changed the lyrics for the movie from the... but in any event, we recorded that at a little studio. He did his animation to it, and I helped out, I think, on 1 or 2 nights animating, and I quickly realized animating is not for me.
you?
Yeah, it's a skill set, and... I have a lot of patience creating music in like the most goriest detail, but not animation. That's for other people to do. They have to really love that to do that. So that's how I met Mike. And then a few years after that, someone said, "Hey, we'd like to make a movie with you." And he had a script. He had a script called Speed. I think I read it. I didn't quite understand it, but it's basically kind of like an action adventure movie featuring him, not as a wizard, as another kind of character. It's the whole thing about running fast and all that. He can tell you in far more detail about that script, but he wanted to do that. They said, well, that's going to be really super expensive. There's something you could do before that. And he thought, hey, I know what I'll do. I'll do a movie that, chronicles the adventures of a few filmmakers doing a film for a big feature film company that's doing a TV special, So hence the Wizard of Speed and Time. So he had to come up with an idea of like all the little chapters and all the little drama that we went through. It's overblown to a certain degree, but he managed to expand it, and he had a very workable script. And there's a lot packed into that hour and
it's a
40
dense
minutes.
film.
Yes, there's a lot. There's never a minute wasted. There's always like something looking at you. You're always looking for it. I was asked to be in the movie, and I acted in the movie. I played myself under protest because I knew plenty of actors that were not only better looking than I, that actually knew how to act. So, but Mike didn't want to hear any of it. He says, no, you got to be in the movie. And all of his friends, including his family, is in this
that's
movie.
his mother in the film.
Yeah,
That's
there are actors. There's the love interest. She's an
Yes.
actress, and there's other actresses throughout the
the producer of the film is the producer in the movie.
is actually the producer of this movie, not the Disney movie.
Yes,
and actually,
yes.
I think he actually had some of the people he worked with at Disney do cameo roles.
Like I said, it
Yeah.
sends this clear message. It's just you getting together with your friends. It's so important that
Yes.
it was you in the film. He was absolutely right about that it had to be you.
I mean, I did. I had fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought I was doing him a favor and getting someone that actually can maybe someone who's an actual comedian that actually can bring something to this role.
No, it has to be you.
And I feel that someone that is creative, that has maybe doubts about themselves, whether they're even going to admit that, like, well, listen, I created this little thing, and they can look at this movie and they can see from the inside
Yes.
that someone can actually, when you apply yourself and you get people to move with you, because in this movie you'll notice the theme is like everyone's reluctant to, like, really, we're going to do that? Well, we can, but it's going to take this, that, and the other thing. This is what I want to accomplish.
No, we just do it, and then it'll be done. That momentum, the pushing the train up the hill kind of thing.
Right. So
You said something there. I'm going to pounce on it. It's from the inside out.
yes,
It's a beautiful mind that we've got here,
Mm-hmm.
and this kind of obsessive, dedicated, attention to detail, monofocused mind has been chronicled in cinema time and again from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only film I've ever seen where it's that mind looking out, where we get a sense of what it sounds like, what it feels like, what it looks like. There's the shot. He knocks over a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, and it assembles itself in 3 seconds.
yeah. And he did that for the movie. That wasn't done beforehand.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that shot, I imagine, I could be wrong, I'm imagining 3 to 5 days alone filming it for a 3-second shot that has no impact on the plot. It's that kind of mind that makes this kind of movie. That it happened once is a miracle.
Yeah.
I again, along with the Kyotos, blank check every year to make whatever this person wanted when I watch their films.
And I'm not entirely sure, although I've talked to him a million times about it, I'm not entirely sure he's aware of how special his fans look at his work. And other professionals that have never really, they're aware of it, that have never, come in contact with Mike personally, but they've been affected in some way.
I don't think he can know. I think the kind of mind that does that jigsaw puzzle shot isn't paying attention to the fans online and the people like
Could
me
be.
who have had their life courses changed by that
Right.
filmmaker. Because the amount of focus it takes to think about this thing, it's going to pull focus away from that thing. And we spend our lives having to be okay with that, with this type of mind. How's it going? I'm going to tell you a story. This is my Mike Jitlov story.
All right, that's fine.
About 15 years ago, there's the wosat.com, or is it org? His website, Wosat.
Oh, his website is WizWorld.
WizWorld, that's what it is,
.com.
WizWorld.com. Found that, looked him up, reached out. He said, come on over. I said I wanted to meet him, that I loved his work growing up, and that I wanted to meet him. He invited me over to his house. His mother was there. We went into the movie lab, just inside his house.
That little room, right?
It's in the film. Got to see
It's still there. Everything's neatly packed. Yeah.
Got to see the reams of the handwriting, just like in the film. He told me stories about his life, how he's doing, what's easy, what's hard. We talked, parted ways. I was walking out to the car, and he called after me. He said, "Hey, Jesse." And I turned around, and he said, "Don't end up like me."
Really interesting. That's fascinating.
And that was the last thing he said to me before I drove away.
Right.
So that's the mind.
Yeah.
That's and that's the mind. I want to know what it's like with you, working with him through the years and knowing him long before I had any awareness of him, and knowing him personally through your life. Like, how's it going with you guys?
Well, from time to time I call him, and I realize that I have I'm not just going to call him and say, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's always like, I spoke to someone, I met with someone that wanted to say hi to you, or someone is trying to get in touch with you. For some reason, people think that that if they enlist me, I'll be able to get a response out of him. And he'll say, oh yeah, they've been leaving messages and I should call them back, that sort of thing. But basically, when I wanted to do this vinyl, I contacted with him. I hadn't spoke to him for quite a while. And all of a sudden, everything started coming back. It was almost like back in 1983, that gets reconstituted. But then he'll start talking about the movie in 1983 as an experience, because his production experience was not a pretty one for him. It was very difficult for him. And, and even I go, Michael, join the club, man. A lot of people, everyone's got their horror stories, but you don't want that to impede you from recreating. And I think he wants to go in there and fix something. So he puts, the movie is his. No one in the world could have done that movie.
Absolutely.
But I think he wants to do something extra to it to maybe stamp it more with his personality. Because I think he felt, because certain people that he didn't get along with that worked on the film had polluted it to a degree. And he wants to correct that. But he's not moving forward, So, but when I do talk to him, it's always pleasant. He's the sweetest person in the world. And I literally tell him, Mike, I really don't think you realize how many people you've influenced. With me, the very little tiny things I saw before the whole wizard thing were very stimulating to the brain.
Oh yeah.
And he'll tell you that too, that the flickering of the lights when you see it in a projector as opposed to streaming on a computer, it's a completely different experience. But it's pleasant. I can get him on like the first ring, if I call it the right time, if he's home.
Yes.
If he's not running his errands and doing things like that. But I think right now he's, I think it's a good time to maybe reintroduce him to the people that love his work.
I hope, against hope, that he can hear it. Like I was saying, it's a very specific type of mind that can make this film, that can do the work he does. That mind does it have the antenna to receive what the signal his fans are sending out? I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, I had him at a little event that I put on the reverse side of that. That's actually, we were actually there. He touched up the pictures a little bit. I did not want him to put Killer Klowns on my T-shirt, but he did. And I said, okay, all right. He did that.
There we are.
He did that. He took that picture, put the background, and he explained to me how he adjusted the colors properly and the shading. He's a whiz at Photoshop, as you can imagine.
That was a good 15 minutes of our time together was him showing me his Photoshop work process.
And he, he didn't want to come to that get together, but then he realized there's going to be people. Oh, okay, I'll come. And I thought that was really cool. He showed up, and there were some people that I understand that they spoke for many hours afterwards when I had gone to sleep in the garage, in the parking garage of my condo area. And so I think he had a good experience, meeting all the people and seeing that. But that's very rare. And another reason I go, listen, Steve's coming by. Steve's going to be in town. We've got to do this because Steve lives in a different state.
Steve can make music with anything.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is Steve, man. He was in the movie as the boom guy, and he was the boom guy.
They call you Steve in the movie. That's the line.
That's the name I gave myself.
Steve, he can make music with anything.
Yeah.
Okay, that is why it was. Thank you for clearing it up.
Yeah.
Because every time I listen to one of your records, I think like, well, just call Steve. He can make music with anything, and I think it's you. But Steve Shostakovich is the character I play. Yes.
But Steve Mann, he did some music for that he had done previously that he owned the property rights to lease out. So he did some music that I got the original masters, remastered it for this album. And he also did some editing of the movie, helped Mike with some editing, and definitely did all the setup for the sound mix. We did a sound mix, just setting
What
that
is
up.
he's credited as the audio surgeon or something like that, I think, in the film.
Yeah, something like that. The sound surgeon.
Sound surgeon, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So then what gets you to this piece of vinyl sitting between us right now? Is that similar trajectory as the Reimagined? Or is this...
my goal, it wasn't a goal. Well, yeah, I guess you said it was a goal. It was more of a suggestion, perhaps, that it's time, as I was telling Mike, to take all your work and archive it onto high definition, a high definition medium, so more people can appreciate it.
Get the film prints and scan them.
And so I'm kind of
properly
reawakening the audience. So maybe that can happen. And it turns out, I mean, when people came up, people drove down from San Francisco and other states to pick up this album from me. I had another little meet and greet where I gave them the record, I signed it, and got to talk to them. Some of these people had worked for Lucasfilms, and they said, "Oh, by the way, it's a no-brainer if he's got the negative, because Mike does have the negative. We have mobile units that will go to his house. We won't charge him, just so that, and he could be there while it's being digitally transferred, because that was an issue. Mike did not want to give it to some, drive up to some place and leave it for a week and all that. He says, we can do that. And so I don't know what happened with that. I don't know what his idea. He's afraid that I go, trust me, we would be happy to donate our time and efforts for you to do this. And for some reason he balks at it. It's just, it's a personality, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a personality kind of profile of Mike, that he wants to be able to do it himself. I go, well, how are you going to do it yourself? Sometimes you have to have people that that will pony up the resources to get it done.
It's for my money, this is one of the 100 most important films ever made in the history of cinema.
Well, there's such visual detail in it. It would be a shame what is it, at 480 now, I think?
Oh, on YouTube? It's, yeah, impossibly small. And
I mean, it's great when you see it small, but like that. But if you wanted to see it blown up and really appreciate all the detail
that's the thing, is to study the detail that he put into every frame of the animation. And there's so much detail to go through. There's just so much in each frame of his animation. Here's hoping that he'll hear the siren call of the fans.
Yeah.
Who just want to be able to study his work at a deeper level. Last big topic I want to talk about today is mixing. Do you do your own mixes? How involved are you in that process?
I can do my own mixing. For this new album that I'm working on, I'm having 2 other people mix it. I'm setting it up for them.
Okay.
Because I tend to get too detailed. What it takes me a day to do, they can do in 3 hours.
And how do you approach your mix?
Are you talking about just audio music? Music only.
Yeah, just the music. When you get all your, your 20 tracks or 30, 40, 60 tracks, whatever you're getting from the orchestra, do you start with the cellos, or how do you approach that?
Okay, after it's been, obviously there's a composition has been conceived, and we've recorded, we have recorded the parts, because some things are recorded like in Europe, some things are recorded here live. Once I get everything together and edited, where everything's lining up properly and the form is set, the like how the song's going to start, I'll say, what, it needs a few more beats up at the front to help introduce it. That may happen. Or there may be this one part right here that there needs to be a complete break for 2 beats of silence, and then we pick it up after that. All those decisions are made first. That's the editorial aspect of it. Then what you want you want all the parts to gel properly. And then after that, it's just a matter of balancing out where everyone's in their lane. so to speak. So that when you listen to the piece of music, it's not like one thing sticking out and say, wait, I can't hear the melody, sort of, And there's decisions you have to make about panning, where to put things. There's some really great recordings that like everything's one voice is panned hard left and the other one's hard right and something's up the center and it just works.
When you're composing, I mean, in the earliest stages, are you composing in mono, stereo, or 5.1? How does your head?
Well, I'm composing. It's all musical ideas. The actual composing.
I mean,
it's all structured musical ideas.
Are you planning for 5 channels, 2 channels, or 1 channel?
Well, it depends what the final product is.
Okay.
Like if I'm mixing my own movies, like for instance, what did I do that was in 5.1 recently? Oh, I did a commercial for a Japanese amusement park. It's called Small Worlds, and if you can imagine, they'll recreate all of Manhattan in miniature, and you can walk through it, and they can. I believe they can take it on tour. There is a actual place that you can go in Tokyo. And then I think there's parts of it that they ship around the world. So I did a commercial for them, and they wanted it in 5.1. So I mix it. I do a wonderful stereo mix that works just perfect for me. And then what I'll do is I'll give them stems.
Okay, and they can kind of take it.
And then they'll they'll make it work for on their end.
Okay.
I'll give them the strings only, the brass only, the woodwinds only, the percussion only, the keyboards only. And from that, they generate their 5.1 or 7.1 or 12.1. They may be playing it in a theater that has a massive sound system. And for me to I'm the guy coming up with the music tracks.
You're not getting too deep in the weeds with the...
Yeah, I just want to give them things that are going to be flexible. Oh, that's fine. I learned a lot. I was doing two movies that we're mixing at Universal Studios. I go, what do you want that's going to make your life easy? And they go, give us a stereo mix with stems. Don't try to do a 5.1 because we need to match it to. They can then take that and conform it to their system.
Yep.
Because my 5.1 may sound great with me, and over there it's like, oh God, we got to recalibrate this whole thing. It's just not working. That's what I've been told by engineers that do this for a living. It says if you just give us the stems, we're going to be fine.
And then if your 5.1 orchestral mix might sound good, but once they have sound effects and dialogue,
they need to have flexibility.
Yes. What's coming up for you?
Well, as far as appearances go,
it's Shocktober.
Okay.
You must be busy.
Yeah. Rocktober, Shocktober. It's very easy. I have appearances all this month, but my big appearance is going to be October 30th at Scare Fair at the San Bernardino Fairgrounds. There's going to be all kinds of people. I think Joe Bob Briggs is going to be there. There's going to be all sorts of comic book artists are going to be featured. There's going to be an area where, like, if your favorite comic book artist is there, I'm not sure if there's also tattoo artists, but there's lots of vendors, all sorts of vendors, lots of food, lots of fun. There's 2 bands that are playing. One is a Rob Zombie tribute band, and the other one is like an original, thrash rock horror band. And I'm going to be doing a music performance, not that day, but at another date. I'm doing a music performance that I'll be announcing. I won't be able to announce it until the middle of November.
And that's going to be around Christmas? When...
That's going to be sometime around New Year's Eve-ish.
Okay. I'm not going to press you for details.
Yeah.
I'd love to know more.
Yeah.
And maybe as it gets closer, we can, you can swing by the studio if you want.
And
bring us up to speed
Okay.
on what that next one is. John, my God, thank you for coming out to speak with us.
Thank you.
This was the
there's
best.
just one more thing.
There's always
and that's it. So there's I'm doing a Killer Klowns from Outer Space synthwave album.
Wait, what?
Synthwave album, which is basically I'm doing the music score the way I would have liked to do the music score back then, but now. So I am using synthesizers. I am using...
Are you going to be weaving in the orchestral samples as well? Not so
there are going to be orchestral samples as the type of samples that I had back then.
Got it.
That kind of sampling, but probably a little bit better. And I'm doing all the rock stuff, all the stuff I'm doing it legit metal. It's not. It's going to be not me playing a synthesizer sounding like a metal guitar, but legit metal, and that's a lot of fun. So my intention is to resync it back in the movie, do the sound effects the way they were supposed to be done, because the sound effects that wound up in the movie, the mix was supposed to be a 2-week mix. I think they did it in 4 days. So there were things missing. Mm-hmm. So the original sound designer is going to have his sound effects in it as well. Then we have a movie that could be distributed.
When are we going to be able to see this? When, where?
Well,
how, who, what, where, when, why?
First of all, I have to do it.
Okay.
Well, then I gotta find. Then I know there's got to be there's one of several distributors that say, okay, that we can make that a feature in the menu.
Yep.
You can go classic, or you can go
reimagine, remaster,
synthwave version and all that, and so that's a lot of fun. So that's what I'm working on now. Probably be done with that in the spring.
Then look, I got to let you go so you can get back to work on that.
I
can see it all the sooner.
Yes,
my man. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
To you. We're going to end this episode here, and we hope to hear from you soon, and that all these projects just keep ballooning and growing and becoming as marvelous as they obviously will be.
Thank you for having me, Jesse.
Thank you so much. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
The Hollywood Fishbowl is produced by Jesse Kester and Mark Cartier for Alameda Entertainment. For more information, go to alameda-entertainment.com.